Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Nettie Owens with Sapari Group, and this is what businesses need to know right now. My guest today is CFO Adam, the only CFO that you'll ever need. I'm excited to bring him to you today. We have a great conversation planned for you, and let me just give you a little bit of a background on Adam and why you want to pay attention. So Adam has been in the accounting world for over 12 years now. He's titled himself the best fractional CFO in the world, and I'm excited to dig into that a little bit. But he helps to translate your finances into English, which I think is important because as a business owner, there are a few of us that sometimes try and avoid the numbers. So if we can make that easier, and that's what Adam's here to do, then we can grow our businesses more efficiently and effectively. So welcome, Adam. It's good to have you here.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Nettie.
So let's dig in a little bit. You said that your plan is to guide 100 digital marketing agencies to $10 million in revenue by 2032. That's a really fun goal. Tell me what led you to put yourself out there with that goal.
Yeah, the biggest piece was, I wanted something that one rolls off the tongue very easily, um, and being a numbers guy and being in finance, it was like, okay, how can I make this not only where I'm hitting my goals, but also my clients are hitting their goals. So I was like,
Mhm.
a lot of the business owners I speak to, they're like, I want to get, from 500,000 to a million. I want to get from a million to 5 million. I want to get from 5 million to 10 million. And I was like, some of those numbers, it's like, getting to a million in revenue, there's hundreds of thousands of people out there that are, that's their tagline and what they're looking to do. So I was like, well, let's bump this up, add an extra zero, and let's make this a big stretch goal, and not just take one business there, but let's take 100 businesses there and have basically create 100 8-figure businesses.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like a great plan. And I love the motivation behind it. All right. So let's dig in a little bit to kind of the nuts and bolts behind what you do and how you're guiding people to that $10 million mark. Um, we talked before, looking at what's going on in the world right now. What's that one piece of advice that you give all business owners, but especially right now? Like what is it that you feel like they need to know?
Yeah, the biggest piece of advice I always give is that every business owner needs to find the 3 to 5 things that they're the best at and that make them the most money and focus on those pieces. So, I work with a lot of digital marketing agencies. Some of them, they are the creative director for that agency. And so they're literally guiding all of their clients like, here's our proposal, here's how we're going to implement this, here's what it's going to look like at the end of the day. Others, they're the salesperson. They're the one that they can go out and they can sell, popsicles to an Eskimo. Other people, they're the analysts. So they're the ones behind the scenes saying, here's your, cost to acquire a customer, here's your customer lifetime value, here's your return on your ad spend. So whatever their skill set is, they need to really lean into that
Mm-hmm.
and then hire experts to handle all of the other pieces of their agency. So if they're the creative director, they need to hire that analyst and they need to hire that salesperson, because if they don't, one, they're going to get frustrated. They're going to, they're like, I want to be doing the creative, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
spending most of my time selling and analyzing stuff. And, kind of vice versa. So depending on which of those roles they fall into. So by them really leaning into it, not only does it make them happier because they're enjoying what they're doing every single day, but they're actually giving better work product to their clients because all of those other people are the experts and enjoying their roles in the organization.
This is so easily translated outside of the digital marketing world as well, just in business in general, focusing on what you do best. And Adam, you said 3 to 5 things. I would narrow that down to the one. What is that one thing that you do best? How can you put your eggs in that basket and make sure that is the biggest thing that you lean into with your skill set, and that it makes money for your company. So, as your clients are working through this process, what kinds of challenges do they come up with?
Well, the biggest one, especially right now, is hiring and staffing. We've all heard of the Great Resignation and everything else that's been going on over the last 6 months, 12 months. And now all the layoffs that are happening across like the tech landscape. Knowing when to hire people, what to compensate them, and how to retain them. And that last part is the real key. It's how to retain those stars, those excellent employees that any successful business won't be successful without them.
Mm-hmm.
So, sometimes it's benefits, sometimes it's a flexible schedule, sometimes it's, promotions and, kind of having a career trajectory saying, okay, you're coming in as an account manager, but you can move from account manager to this role, to that role, to, maybe it's chief operating officer, and kind of laying out some of those long-term, like, here is a career progression for you.
Mm-hmm.
Does that work? Does that sound like something you would want to do? Or is there somewhere along that path that you want to be like, okay, I just want to stop there? Okay. But having that conversation and bringing it up with the employee shows not only are you thinking about the current state of the business, but where it's headed and where you're going to need those people in the future. So you aren't always having to hire into senior level roles. You aren't always having to hire, and then backfill behind these people. It's like, oh, you got a promotion. What does that mean? Oh, now we have to fill that position because they're not doing that role anymore.
So I'm just going to play devil's advocate here. What does this have to do with CFO work? Why are you, the CFO, talking about, your hiring and staffing? Where's the rubber hitting the road for this one?
Yeah, for most of the biggest reason is, like, especially for digital marketing agencies, staffing is their biggest cost. So they're spending 40, 50, 60% of their revenue on staffing.
Mm-hmm.
And if they have to continually replace people, one, you have lower productivity while you're, looking for that replacement. And then you have a ramp time to get them onboarded and get them up to speed with all the clients. So it could be 3 to 6 months where you're basically getting no productivity out of that role. Whereas if you can get someone in, train them, and then, let them grow, you get productivity that, you only have that first couple months. So, the hiring process and, compensation is a big topic. People asking for what they're worth, and companies looking at their bottom line and saying, well, this is what we can actually afford to pay here. If that doesn't line up, then you're not the right person for this role with us.
Right.
Or it comes back to, this person is a fantastic candidate. Maybe we need to bump that scale up a little bit, take kind of the short-term hit, but now we've got a more talented person. We've got a more qualified person in that role. And now we can take some responsibilities off someone else's plate and kind of readjust the whole picture from there. So, everything at the end of the day impacts the finances, from, staffing to operations to advertising and marketing and sales. So knowing what to pay people and how to pay them and how to incentivize them to come and work for you versus everyone else out there that's hiring is a big challenge.
So this is not a question that was on your list, but I'm really curious. You talk about translating finances into English. What are some of the ways that you do that, or what are some recommendations that you have for clients to understand their numbers better?
Yeah. My focus at the beginning of any engagement is revenue. Where is that money coming in from?
Mm-hmm.
When I go in and look at their books for the first time, if they only have one line as far as revenue, I know that's a place that we have to start because it's very unlikely that they only have one revenue stream and only get paid in one way by every single one of their clients.
Right.
So, we start breaking it out. We look at project-based revenue versus recurring revenue. We look at terms of contract. This is a 3-month contract, 6-month, 12-month, longer than that. And we start breaking that out and piecing that out into smaller chunks. So it's like, okay, now we're getting some information we can actually start using.
Mm-hmm.
Once we've got the revenue stuff set, all right, now let's go over to the expense side. So this is the money that's coming in. Now, how are we going to invest that back in the business? Are we going to invest it in staff? Are we going to invest it in assets? Are we going to invest it in continuing education? What are those pieces? And I like to roll up a lot of them. So anything that's not more than 5% of their gross revenue, it gets rolled together. So some of my clients, they only have 4 categories. They have, like salaries and wages, contractors, marketing costs, and then everything else. And part of what that does is it takes out a lot of the clutter. When you've got 75 expense categories and you're like, oh, well, that one went up by 100% this month. It's like, well, it was $6 last month. Now it's 12. The percentage isn't what matters here. It's the dollar amount in that case. So it's like, let's roll all of those $6 and $12 transactions together. Now it's, thousands of dollars, but it's like, oh, well, last month it was 22,000. This month it's 22,500. It moved a little bit, but not, enough to really, make a difference. But it's not those huge jumps you can see on a percentage basis on those smaller categories.
That makes a lot of sense. And I appreciate that as someone who likes to help streamline things for customers and make them more clear. So you can, in the organizing world, make too many categories. And here I'm hearing that the same is true in finances. So thank you so much. Adam, this has been just really fantastic. It's great to hear what you're bringing to your clients, and I'm hoping that our listeners are picking up a few tidbits that they can apply, whether that's focusing their efforts, making sure that they're paying attention to their biggest expense, if that is staff, or simplifying the reporting and what they're looking at in their numbers. If they want to get in touch with you after this, what is the best process?
So as you just put up, my contact page on my website is a really easy way. Otherwise, across all the different social media sites, you just search for CFO Adam. I'm sure to pop up there, whether it's LinkedIn or Instagram or TikTok. I'm out there spreading the knowledge of finances and how to make more money in your business.
I love that we're both on TikTok. You have a great channel. Definitely check out his TikTok. All right. If you have enjoyed our conversation here, I encourage you to follow on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. And if it suits you, I would encourage you to text the word freedom to 411321. I'll send you my guide, How to Succeed in Business, the Proven Path to Success for High Achievers, where you can look at how you're doing in your business and see what are those dials that you might need to turn up or down a little bit. It's been great to see you today, and we'll be back next time with more of what businesses need to know right now. Take care.